Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed, Shlita. Continuing our week of learning, please continue davening for Charlei Tzvagan Yisrael, for Shleim L'Chalam Yisrael that needs safe return of our hostages. And we dedicate our learning to Nishmas, Saren Daniel Shimon and Harav Daron, V'Sheli Hashem Yakum Damo. And we are continuing along with our design tips in Halacha. Maybe we can get this program picked up by HGTV. I'm not sure. Sid Vatseva is the next chapter. Mishacharav Beis HaMikdash Tiktun Chacham Shaba'osa Hador She'in Bonam L'Olam Binyan Misiyod Mechuyar Kevinyan HaMalachim. Once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Chazal of that generation made a decree that we don't ever build something that is so beautiful like the home of kings. We'll see what that means. Ela Toch Beis HaBetit V'Sad Basid, but we do something simply with pitch or with plaster, lime. And then we leave a place unfinished, 1 amma square, as we've been discussing. Again, this is all found in Shulchan Aruch and Aruch Chaim, Siman Tov Kuf Samach. Kayom, but nowadays, nowadays we don't use pitch. We use plaster. Harishona matiach shachor. I'm not much of a builder or designer, but the way he describes it is that we have a couple of layers that go on. First, you put down the base layer, which probably is a darker color, and then on top of that you put the whiter color, and on that, then we could finish that with some sort of finish, a paint or whatever it might be. So according to the Halacha, since the sid, the lime or the finishing part, is last, so on that 1 amma square area, that's just what we should leave off. So that we could see actually unfinished. You can notice when something, even if you have let's say a primer coat and then followed by a main coat of paint, for instance. And if you leave a certain area off with just primer or without paint at all, it'll be noticeable. He says it's important to point this out because people have the custom of finishing the entire house, and just without leaving the color that comes after the sid part. So in other words, people might even, when they finish the sid, the plastering part, the finished last level of plaster, then they paint, they might just leave over the paint. He says we have to leave off the plaster part. Some people will color the entire home, and then after they paint, they will then, let's say, paint one part black or a dark color where you have a lighter color, but one corner they'll leave dark, Zecher LeChurban. If you're going to be makel, if you're going to be lenient, certainly you have on whom to rely. And we shouldn't protest. Because perhaps they understand that the main purpose, the main goal, is to see and to recognize that there's something different. And that difference was created because we want to create a Zecher LeChurban atmosphere. And if you see a noticeable change in 1 amma square area in a corner near the door, wherever it is, that it's a different color or it's unfinished, then obviously you have accomplished that goal. However, according to most poskim, you have to leave it completely unfinished, that amma square. No paint, no finishing, no plaster. It's not enough just to have a recognition that it's different, but the house has to be actually incomplete, unfinished. And that last step that we have, of course, is the plastering. So if you leave it unplastered, that means that it's unfinished. So if they finished doing the plaster and the sid, and they didn't leave over the amma square, it's appropriate that one should remove it from that spot. And we should realize that we will leave it unfinished. If it was finished, you unfinish it, and we'll recognize that we could fulfill the halacha this way. But practically speaking, the last line is, because we don't use much sid, which is really lime. We don't use much lime in the walls. But kiros gabos ain't regular l'sayod. But let's say for nowadays we use plaster or sheetrock, things like that, which are not used to be covered in lime. So azai usually stop it so it's appropriate then just to leave it unfinished in terms of not painting it. So the way we build homes, again, it could be also different in Israel. If you see how they build the walls in Israel, in apartments and homes versus how we do it here, very, very different. But certainly, let's say we're talking about in our homes where we have sheetrock. So if you would leave a place unfinished, meaning unpainted, that certainly would suffice. So we thank everyone for learning with us today. So we're well into a week. And please continue davening for Chayei Tzvagan Yisrael, for Shlem Lam Yisrael, safe return of our hostages. We dedicate our learning to Nishmat, Sarah and Daniel Shem Ben Rav, Daron V'Shele Hashem Kedamo. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you here next time.